said, Wolfgang, Baur, Kobold, Quarterly. I also used to work at Wizards of the Coast. I think that's a theme we'll hear repeatedly here. And TSR before that. So a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons in the last 20 years.
I'm Jonathan Tweet. I freelanced for TSR back in the day and was the lead designer on Edition at Wizards of the Coast.
And I'm Jason Bulmahn. I'm the lead designer at Paizo Publishing and the author of the Pathfinder role-playing game.
So great. I will just remind our panelists that this will be a panel moderated under Queensberry rules. This means no biting, no gouging, no hitting below spells. Our topic is D&D and what makes D&D the thing it is. I had an opening statement. It was a thing of beauty. It got rained on. I'll speak from memory. From my perspective, what is D&D? It is a game of tactics, exploration, and adventure that grows out of the wargaming tradition and that started a new thing. Players as the hero in their own story or their own tale. And that has taken many, many forms over the years. 4 editions if you just count Advanced D&D, many more editions if you count Basic and Original, and spin-offs galore. I think all of that stuff is fair game, and frankly, I think that D&D is also not just a tabletop game. I think D&D has been the foundation for what we call MMOs, single-player adventure games, and a whole category of video and computer games as well. And without that foundation, that genre wouldn't exist. So as far as I'm concerned, that's sort of D&D by ancestry. But that's my definition, rambling as it is. I think we will start with the one person who officially works for the D&D brand today. Bruce, tell us.
Well, I think that one of the words you used was, in my mind anyway, sums up D&D, and that's exploration. When you are either a player or a DM, basically, let's go from the player's point of view, you are sitting down and you want to explore whatever realm, world, story that the DM has prepared. You're looking forward to seeing what's beyond the next door, what's beyond the next encounter with the strange person at the, just to be cliched, at the back of the bar, or what that strange message brings. You want to explore. You want to then discover what that message was, what was behind that door, and then using that, move on. You're rewarded, and your imagination grows thereby. And when you're the DM, it's the same sort of thing. You're of course creating it for yourself, but you set down a particular premise. You're like, what follows from this? And you explore in your own head what's going to happen. And I think, to me, D&D is so popular is because when you sit down with your friends, you're really also exploring an entirely new realm.
All right. I like the exploration part of that. I think I'll turn to the other side here and pick on Jason.
All right.
So tell us why Bruce is wrong, and it's not about... No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that would be unfair. Let's not go that direction. Maybe you want to talk about the role of cliché.
The role of cliche in D&D.
Well, I think there are certain cliches that the game invented, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's
been said a million times.
Yeah.
No, I think that's true. I think there are certain cliches that have kind of, stuck with the game throughout the years, But I think a lot of those are useful. For me, the game is, a way for everyone to get together and tell a story, and for all of the players to interact and be a part of building a kind of a shared experience. And I think those cliches often help anchor everyone together in kind of the same, zeitgeist, as it were, the same kind of realm, right? I don't think, it's good to over-rely on them, but it is useful to have, kind of a shared experience in the world and kind of understanding. There are wizards, they cast spells. There are fighters, they swing swords.
What's your favorite cliche as a designer that you just can't stop yourself?
Oh...
Fess up.
I don't know. There are so many.
All right, I'll confess to my favorite cliche then. You can think about yours.
Yeah, let me narrow
But I'm
it.
coming back to you. I cannot resist the Wizards College. I think it's a wonderful cliche. There are wizards in the world. Of course they have a union. Of course they work together. They should rule the world. And instead they all go and study in their lofty towers with their apprentices and their familiars. And I'm still not sure whether or not in charge of everything everywhere. Given the rules of the game, they should be running the show. But instead they're all sort of pointy-hatted academics. And I love that. So I do throw in the Wizards College every chance I get. Anyone else got a cliche that is pure D&D? Jonathan? You were always the man who's breaking with cliche.
Well, I think cliche is important for role-playing games because you see cliche in all of our own story traditions. It's a sort of a building block, and you know, we have a highly literate society, and not just in terms of people read a lot, but people get cultural references, and cultural references are, you know, sort of recursive and what have you. And so cliche is sort of frowned on anymore, but you know, for tens of thousands of years, it's what people relied on when non-professionals were telling stories to each other, and that's what role-playing games are.
If it was good enough for Homer, it should be good enough for
Thank you. So the biggest cliche's got to be the dungeon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. It comes before the dragons.
Yeah, but we love it, or at least in certain. Oh, but maybe you don't know that one.
Like the monsters with no way to eat and no place to poop.
Yes, but if they're all closer together, it's easier to kill them as you go.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that don't make sense.
All right. Well, we haven't heard from you yet, Chris.
Yes.
And you've been exploring things that are flavors of D&D with many a license, and Thieves' World, and True 20.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, I guess my question to you is, so you've been out on the frontiers of what one might define as D&D, right?
Yeah.
You've left the WotC mothership, and there are things that are akin to the genre.
Yeah.
Many would say, when asked, what are you playing? Oh, it's D&D, even if it is in fact sold under another name. So what would you say to things that aren't?
I would say that to me, D&D has really become like a genre. You know, it's not. I think it's sort of beyond the bounds of just the original game because its influence has been felt across many different media. Right? So, you know, pretty much every computer game, you know, that does classing level fantasy adventures, every one of them is descended from D&D. There's umpteen novels that have taken that basic D&D story. And many of them, in fact, come from authors' old D&D campaigns. And we'll also not so quick to point that out sometimes. In the same way, and of course there's many games that started out as people's, oh, well, I'm going to do D&D right and D&D my way.
Oh yeah, that goes back to the 70s, right?
Well, it's the very roots of it. It's probably off topic, but whatever.
Oh, I'm going to ride herd on that, sure. No, go with it.
You could make an argument that one of the reasons that D&D became as sort of broad and influential as it was that the original D&D game was so poorly designed, actually. Like, that white box set, there was something cool in it, but not everyone agreed what that was. That led to Palladium and Arduin Grimoire, and you know, all the Tunnels and Trolls, you know. I was, a couple months ago, at ThunderCon in San Ramon, and I was on a panel with Kensei Andre, and he said, well, I got D&D, and I said I could write a better game than that sitting in my underwear, so I did.
Sounds like Ken.
And in a way, that was sort of the birth of the role-playing hobby, and then I think it has cascaded, you know, beyond that, where there's a kind of core set of ideas and indeed cliches, but it has just spread out that it's far beyond just the game.
Yeah, it's into the culture.
Yeah.
So who here is familiar with the white box set of D&D?
Who's ever tried to play the white box?
All right. So I agree with you, Chris, that it left work to do, and so it encouraged people to do